Hello friends, in today's video I'm going to be repairing a broken speaker in a mid-2015 15-inch MacBook Pro. The speaker in question is shown on your left. The audio that you're hearing right now is being recorded by my professional Sony D100 $800 audio recorder, and to better help you hear the problem, I'm going to play some music now through these MacBook Pro speakers that has a little bit of bass in it, and I'm going to start playing it through the right speaker, which doesn't have any problem, and then I'm going to shift over to the left speaker, and then you can really hear the speaker rumble. Now, before I decided to do the repair myself, I naturally thought, well, what happens if I pay Apple to do it? How much is it going to cost? But I determined the price would be close to US $300. And that's actually a higher price than I paid to have the entire battery replaced. I paid Apple to do it. So I said, no, definitely no, I'm not going to do that. And so I did like most of what you do. I looked on Amazon to see what options were available, and there's some very, very low price speakers there. But some of the reviews were saying that the audio coming through those speakers didn't quite sound the same as the authentic Apple speakers. Now, I'm a very picky person. If I'm going to do a DIY repair that basically has to tear down the entire machine to replace the speakers, then I want the sound to sound exactly like they did when the speakers were new, when I first bought this computer. And so I looked on iFixit. I thought, okay, iFixit, surely they were going to sell some genuine parts, but it actually doesn't guarantee they're genuine parts at all. And some of the people in the comment section were speculated that they're not Apple genuine parts. So I said, well, I want an Apple genuine part. Where am I going to get it? Well, if you take it to a repair guy, he might be able to sell you if he's authorized, but I'm based in Japan and I want to do this myself. So I looked on eBay and I found a vendor who claims that his parts are the authentic Apple service parts. So I decided to buy from him, and this is the actual box that it arrived in. This box doesn't have any Apple logo on it. Just, you know, I'm not familiar with Apple service parts, at least the recent ones. The old ones used to have the Apple logos on them, but this one just has this tape that says do not break seal unless using parts. And then it has a barcode on the bottom, and this blue Sagawa is in Japan, the actual carrier. So that isn't related. And then, of course, here on the side, there's a barcode and a part number, and the barcode, or the part number says 923-00534, product of China mainland. Well, can't really detect it being an Apple part that way. But again, the seller says it is definitely an Apple genuine service part. If we take a look on the inside, it has some nice padding. That's not a guarantee it's an Apple service part. And it comes with both the left and the right speakers sealed in this anti-static bag. No Apple logo on it. It just says, attention, static sensitive devices. And, well, these are the speakers that I'm going to use to do the repair today. And since, you know, even though my right speaker is still working, I'm going to have to tear the whole machine down anyway. Since I have both the left and the right, I might as well repair both. So let's get started. So here's our work area. We have the MacBook Pro on top of an anti-static green mat. This mat is connected to earth ground, and I will provide links to this and all of the tools you're going to see in this video in the text description below, including the Pentalobe 1.2 screwdriver that will be required to remove the 10 screws that will allow us to lift up the bottom lid. Now, I should mention that I'm also grounded as well with this wrist strap, also to the same earth ground. And we'll go ahead and open up our speakers. I don't see any Apple logo, but it does have the barcode on it. Here is the other speaker. And this one seems to have all of the contacts inside this cable, unlike the one that was shown on the iFixit site. So it doesn't matter where you start. All right, and these two screws in the middle at the top, right by the MacBook Pro logo, are special and different from the others, so don't get them mixed up. And there's a little piece of plastic in the middle that's kind of holding it in. So it may seem like it's stuck, but it's actually that piece of plastic in there. But make sure that you have all the screws out before you start pulling hard on it. And the two pieces that were making it stick are here and here. It's now a good idea to take your rocket blaster and clean out some of the dust. There's dust bunnies all over the place that you want to get rid of, pulled in and out by the fans. All right, the first thing we want to do is disconnect the battery. You'll notice that these batteries are still in good condition. It's been a while since I've had the batteries replaced. You might want to check your batteries. Well, not might, but definitely want to check your batteries. These are not bulging at all. If yours don't look like this and they look like they're a little bit poochy, if you push down on it, you can kind of feel it. Mine, if I push down on it, it's very firm. So they're not bloated at all. But if yours are, then it's probably time for a battery replacement, and you probably should have Apple do that, but technically you can do it yourself. That's beyond the scope of this video, but I just want to mention it nonetheless. So we pull back. There's a little tape here, and it's in there pretty firm. Sometimes it's helpful to get a little plastic tool. This is not metal, it's plastic. And our battery is now disconnected. If you are worried about it, that there might still be a residual charge inside the MacBook Pro, then you can flip it over and hold down the power button for several seconds, because it'll try to power and basically pull all of the current out of the capacitors on the board. So now here's the SSD. Let's go ahead and remove this first with our Torx T5. And again, the tools are all mentioned in the text description below. There's a screw here. You're going to have to find a system that helps you keep track of all of the different screws and know where to put them back. You might want to mark a piece of paper so that you know. And to make it super easy, I made a photo and printed it out on A3 paper, and then I can just put the screws in the right spot on the paper, obviously not here, but in a nearby location. So long as nobody jostles my paper, it will be a-okay. All right, so now we will... Now your SSD may not have this heatsink on it. It's a black piece of metal. What you're going to do is pull it this direction as you kind of slide it like I am. And there we go. And of course we need to clean off the dust bunnies as we go. Next we want to remove this cable here. Some MacBook Pros do not have the screws that hold it down. There's 2 screws on this side and 2 screws on this side. Again, we need our Torx T5 to remove them. These 4 screws are all the same size, so you can mix them. And now we want to pull up. It's sometimes helpful if you've got one of these little plastic tools. and we can easily remove it. Next, let's go ahead and remove our Wi-Fi. Now, these three connectors are permanently attached to the display, so you don't want to break these, otherwise you're going to have a big problem. We also want to reconnect them in the same way that they are connected, and it might be a little bit difficult to see if we put markings, so we can, if you've got some kind of stickers, you can just put the stickers there and then put some kind of marking, I don't know, maybe a single dot, and then you can put maybe 2 on here. Whatever you can familiarize yourself with. And of course, nothing in the middle or whatever you want to do. But basically, we can carefully lift up. Now those 3 wires run across here, then of course back to the display. They are taped. Now this piece of plastic is just routing to keep the wires separated. These 3 wires separated from this. And there's double-sided tape. Now we want to pull this direction very carefully while jiggling him a little bit. It shouldn't take too much, okay? Now we have to remove this fan. Alright, now there's a connector in this area. And I'm going to pull up. There's a little piece of plastic here and I just pulled up on it. And then normally you can push back if there's no tape under this. Sometimes there's tape under it, so you have to be careful. But it doesn't seem like there is. And we can just pull him right out. Next, and there's no particular order, but basically there's a rubber cap over here that we can take off. We can just pull straight up on him. And again, T5, Torx. So to remove our fan here, there's a little very delicate plastic guy you just got to barely pull up. And then we'll go ahead and remove the screws. That's probably the best thing to do first. And he slides right out very nicely. Over here we have another little connector. Again, you got to flip up on him. You definitely need a plastic tool to put under him, and you'll need to just very lightly twist and pull straight back this way to get him out. He's got a couple of hooks on him that make him difficult to get out. Now we'll take out this connector. It's first plastic. And again, I just pulled up. There's a little piece of plastic here that you just pull up on. And then we can just slide him back out this way. And over here, you may or may not have screws. I have screws on mine. Need to take care of these 2 screws before we can take him out. We'll just lift up on him. Now we have some more screws along the top. And this screw. And then this cable. It's got a little latch that needs to, it's at the top. We need just to take a fingernail and flip it up. And we're going to pull this cable down. We have another screw here. We have another screw here. And we have our speaker cable here. So we want to pull him straight up. And we need to remove this little plastic piece, basically pulling up on the little leg on the left. We have a little connector over here. Pull him straight up. All right, now we're not going to disconnect him. We're just going to very gently move him to the side so we can gain access to our speakers on the right and on the left. Now disconnect our speaker. You're looking at the speaker on the left, but it's actually, when flipped over, the speaker on the right, which is technically not a problem, but again, we're going to replace them. Here's our other speaker screw. And at long last, took a lot of effort, folks, but he's finally out. Seems like the same barcode on him. And here's our replacement. And we see there's a little blue on it here. That's for the tape. Two-sided tape. So now we'll get our final speaker changed. It doesn't look bad to me, but we're going to change him. Here's our replacement. Now we need to be very careful not to get our connectors under him. Now you'll just make sure that before you screw it in that your connectors are fitted properly here. Now you'll notice I put a Thunderbolt cable and a USB cable into the connectors to make sure that they're lined up before I put any screws in. And this guy has a little white line that helps you know if he's inserted or not. And that white line comes to the very edge of the connector. We can push him down here. This guy has tape on him, but I'll just leave it like it is. Now, of course, when you have it open, you could repaste the CPU, and believe me, it does make a difference in terms of performance, but that's beyond the scope of this video. I do have another video on that, so please be sure to check that out if you want to repaste your CPU. And last but not least, our battery. Well, now it's time for the smoke test, that time when your heart is pounding like crazy because you don't know if you forgot to connect a connector or maybe you connected something wrong. But if you followed my video, well, you should be okay. Let's see what happens when we push the power button. Here we go. Hey, hey, we got it. It always makes your heart pound even more when you're waiting for that Apple logo to appear, doesn't it? Let's now give our left speaker a test. And in closing, the installation was a success. The left speaker that was damaged is now repaired. The downside, though, is that my brand new Apple Service part replacement for the right speaker is clearly damaged. Not nearly as bad as the left speaker, original speaker was, but it does crackle a little bit, and that is so annoying because, as you saw, it takes a long time. You have to tear down everything, even if you only replace one speaker. I also apologize for the road noise, folks, because I'm doing this segment from home, and it's just so noisy here, but I have to shoot this video and kick it out before the end of the year, so anyway, I apologize for that. But I will be talking to the eBay seller about this, but even if I get a replacement speaker, it's going to take me well over an hour to do the replacement. I'm not going to do a video on that, but just before you embark upon doing it yourself, please be aware that you're not going to get 100% guarantee that both of your brand new replacement parts are functional. I mean, it could be that one of them ends up like mine and you're going to have to get a replacement. Now, that may be worth it for you to pay upwards of $300 US to get Apple to do the job, because they will guarantee that both the left and the right speakers are working perfectly when they replace it before they ship it back to you. Also, you might want to check with a local repair shop, because they might be able to do the job for, I don't know, US $175, $150. I'm just taking shots in the dark. I really don't know. But if they did charge that much, $175, $150, I think it would be worth it. Because your time is money, right? And it really does take a lot of time to do this. And it comes with a big disclaimer that you have to be super, super careful. If you break off any of those little tiny connectors or break a ribbon cable, it could be that, well, you're going to have to pay top dollar to Apple to get it repaired, or pay top dollar to a local repair shop to get it repaired. And especially the 3 wires that go to the Wi-Fi card, I mean, those are permanently attached to the display. If you break off any of those connectors or damage them, you're going to have to replace the entire display. So you do run risks to save money, but if you don't really mind about the quality of the speakers and you want to just go with the Chinese-made speakers from Amazon, maybe $25 for the speakers, and if you're local in the USA, I mean, that's pretty low. So all of the rest is just the time it would take you to do it. And if you don't mind replacing, talking to the seller and getting a replacement speaker if one of your new speakers is bad, then, well, you could end up saving a lot of money doing it. But regardless of my findings about the right speaker today, the installation that you saw today will apply to any mid-2015 15-inch MacBook Pro and any speakers that are compatible with those machines. And the only differences you might see were described in my video. Some of the metal parts, you may or may not have them, but everything else should be the same for this model. So be sure to expand out the text description under this video below, because I've put links to Amazon for all of the tools you saw in this video. Also, if you'd like to support this channel, I have a PayPal link there. And if you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe. And I'd like to offer each and every one of you a truly wonderful new year in 2022. Take care, folks.